My name is Cameron. I'm one of the pastors here at Crosspoint. Excited to be here, opening up. God, there's a dog. I just got really excited. Okay, sorry. Woo, that got distracting. Excited to be here with you guys. Like Josiah mentioned, we're in a series about the fruit of the Spirit, where we are looking at this kind of famous verse in Galatians. Why don't you throw it up there, Jonathan, just so kind of as I'm talking about it, you can kind of see what it is. It goes, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. So you can just leave that up there, Jonathan. Mac brought up something really good last week, really interesting and good, that this passage is called the fruit of the Spirit, not the fruits of the Spirit. And this is not just like a list of virtues or kind of good things that we're just supposed to try hard to do. Right, it's not like a big checklist that you're supposed to put on your mirror, so every day when you're getting ready, you're like, okay, here's all the things I have to do today. Especially in the broader context of Paul's letter to the Galatians, is he talks about like what life in the flesh looks like when we're living in the world, and then he contrasts it with this is life in the Spirit. These are the things that are growing in your life. I think this metaphor, this picture of fruit growing is definitely not accidental. Right? It's supposed to be intentional as a way for us to think about how the Holy Spirit works and transforms our hearts. So has anyone out here done any gardening before? Few people? Okay, so we, just like a lot of people, started gardening for the first time this last year, had like some vegetables and some wildflowers. And while often we talk about it like, we were growing tomatoes and we're growing peppers and this, if you think about it, I have zero control over for sure how growing this fruit. Right, I'm not in there kind of pumping the seed and making sure things work. I'm not creating the sunlight to come down. But as a gardener or a aspiring gardener who killed a lot of things this year, I do have a job in cultivating the environment in which the seed is planted to give it the best chance and opportunity to grow. Right, there's things I can do about the sunlight, making sure it has the right sunlight, that it's watered, that the soil's right, that it's being pruned and trimmed, and diseases and stuff like that. Oftentimes that we didn't realize about until too late. But there is a job that I have to cultivate this plant and this plot of land as it's growing, but I can't make it grow. And in the same way, when Paul talks about the fruit of the Spirit and lists off all these things, we can't make these things happen in our life. Right? We can't just white knuckle our way through and force things to come out. You can't just be like, I'm going to be really patient today. I don't care what anyone thinks. It doesn't work that way, right? And so what we have to do is we have to take the posture of cultivating our life and our heart and our soul in such a way that the work the Holy Spirit wants to do in us has the best chance of taking hold and actually blossoming and blooming and growing. Right? Which is really hard. Even as I was preparing this message, I kept falling back into so how do we become more loving? How do we love better? It's no, that's the whole point here is that we can't make it happen on our own, and we need to submit ourselves to the work of the Holy Spirit and allow the Spirit to lead us into love, which is what we're talking about today, is this first aspect of the fruit of the Spirit is love, and I don't think it's an accident that Paul put it first. Right? I don't think these are ordered. You can be cool, self-control's at the end of the list. Don't have to worry about that one. But I don't think it's an accident that love is first. Right? Because love is so important. And we actually, in our culture, we recognize what a powerful force love is. Think of all the movies, all the TV shows, all the songs that we love, that we're drawn to, that we connect to, are often about love. My dad, so my uncle used to come down and visit, and he would always want to watch war movies. He'd call them the shoot 'em up movies. And then my mom and my aunt would want to watch something not quite so shoot 'em up. And there'd always be kind of this conflict. And one time my dad said, kind of as a joke, but it stuck with me, that every good movie is a love story. right? It might not be like romantic love. It might be love between teammates, like on a football team, or love for the game of football, or love for like fellow soldiers, or love for a friend, or love for country, or whatever it is. But love is really at the center of so many of these stories and these things that we get caught up in and that we're drawn to. Because love is a really powerful force. Right, like think about some of those movies where like this couple maybe is like getting together, but like, this is like cliche Hallmark style right here, but like where it's just coming up with it on the spot, but the guy has to like leave his family fortune to be with the woman he loves. Like deep down, some of us, like part of us is like, yeah, like love is way more important than money, right? Like go for it, go get the girl, like go do that, that's great. And we all recognize too, when love is missing, that there's something really wrong. Right? Like sometimes I've listened to different stories of like, the kids of successful people who made a lot of money or did some amazing things in our world. And then you find out like, yeah, but these people who were really successful were really terrible to their kids or just never home, completely absent. Like there was a lack of love there. And it's like, I don't know, when I hear that, I can't help but think, was it worth it? So all this, like, if there's no love, if like you're not like loving and you're just like driving towards success, is it worth it? So love is important. When love is missing, we recognize that there's oftentimes something missing. And Paul kind of picks up this theme in another one of his letters in 1 Corinthians 13. And this is like the classic wedding passage, okay? So there's like the love is patient, love is kind, like that whole thing. This comes before that. So just for some context. And here's what Paul has to say about love here. Paul, by the way, is the same guy who wrote the letter of Galatians. So he's just kind of like expanding on a theme here. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. So he's saying like, tongues of men is kind of like this biblical, like people who had this spiritual, like supernatural gift to be able to speak to people in other languages, or like heavenly tongues, tongues of angels. But if love, which is pretty amazing if you think about it, but if love is not there, it's only like a resounding gong or like a toddler with a pan and a stick that he's just hitting over and over and over. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, like think the deep, deep truths of God that people have wrestled with for centuries, like deep understanding of like what people are going through and what people need to hear from God. So all knowledge. And if I have a faith that can move mountains, right? Like that could do anything, like moving a mountain, like that's crazy. But do not have love, I am nothing. You can go to the next one, Jonathan. This one blows me away, by the way. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Right? This is like what Jesus told people to do. Like he told a guy, hey, give everything you have to the poor. Like this is how you're to follow me. And the guy walked away sad and was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Like, so here's like, if you follow Jesus's commands to love people and to love people, to like do all the right things, check all the right boxes, like do these big sacrifices, but love is not there, it's nothing. Like love is an essential ingredient to the Spirit-filled life, right? It's not optional. It's not just like a good thing that we should be doing or like an important thing. It is an essential part of what it means to follow Jesus. Now, the problem, I think, at this point in the message is actually that we probably would all agree on this, okay? That we would all go, yeah, of course, like love is very important. Love is essential. Love is like this really important thing. But the problem is that love is like one of those words that's so good, that like is so like everyone can agree it's an important thing, that it's tempting to just kind of be like, cool, yeah, we all agree, love's super important, and like go on with our lives. But it's worth pausing to make sure we're actually talking about the type of love that Paul was telling people to like focus on and to think about and to let grow in their life. Because love has a lot of different definitions, right? Love is a word that can become very watered down and mean a lot of things. Like, I love Jesus and all he's done for me. I love my family. I love Stone Creek Coffee. And I love Jimi Hendrix. Right, but these are all like, I'm using that word in a different way depending on what the thing is I'm talking about, even though it's all like using that same word, love. And I might even say something like, say to my daughter, Gwen, be like, Gwen, I love you. Or I might say on a really difficult day, Gwen, I love you so much. And those could mean very different things, right? Even though using the same word, there's like a different context and meaning to them. And so if we all just say, yep, love is important and kind of move on, we're all kind of operating on different definitions. And it's actually really hard because of how much love is like kind of seen in our culture and we see all the time. It's really hard to be operating from the definition that God uses here. Now, I do weddings. That's one of the things I get to do as a pastor. Very fun. I usually do like 2 to 3 a year. And weddings are like the celebration of love, right? Like you go to a wedding and it's like everything is perfect, right? The celebration of like this perfect love, these two people coming together and like, oh, they just love each other so much. They can't wait to like commit their lives to each other. And the flowers are perfect and like the venue's perfect and the bride's hair is perfect and the suits are like, everything is supposed to be perfect on a wedding day, right? Well, it's like this beautiful celebration of love. And I feel like when I do weddings, I'm kind of a downer, to be honest. Okay, so because like as like doing the wedding, I have like a little wedding message I do. And my kind of main message, at least kind of out of the gate, is that love is not easy. Right, like it's this perfect thing and we're talking about like how great it is, but love is really hard. Whether we're talking about romantic love, whether we're talking about love with friends, with family, with coworkers, with people that you've never even met before, love is not easy. See, there are days that you are just going to want to throw in the towel. Right? There are days that you are going to give more than you're going to get. There are days that if you're keeping score, like you're really coming out behind. And it's really hard. Love is difficult. But here's the thing, is our definition of love, especially as followers of Jesus, shouldn't come from movies, shouldn't come from TV shows, from songs, from books, or our idealized picture of how perfect love is on a wedding day, or how perfect like friendship love looks on social media, on someone's birthday post or whatever. Like our definition of love needs to come instead from God. Okay, I mean, it's super abstract for just a minute, then I promise we'll come back to reality. But God, one of the things we believe about God is this thing called the Trinity, okay? So, meaning three, like triceratops or tricycle, and unity, meaning one, you smash them together so you get Trinity, right? So what we believe is that we worship one God, but that they are in three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but still one, but still kind of separate. And if you try to explain it too much, you kind of wander into heretical territory. But it's this thing that we believe about God. And what it means is that God in very nature, like the very fabric of God's being, is centered on relationship and love. All right, if you go home and you Google like paintings of the Trinity, you'll see like some very weird stuff as people try to like make sense of what it is. But also like there's lots of pictures of like togetherness and like friendship and connection. Because this idea is that God is one and connected, but also there is separate persons of God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Now, what that means for us is when God created us, we are created in God's image. Okay, which means part of us is to be similar to like how God was, right? And God at his very nature and core is love and is about relationship. That's an essential part of who we are as well. And how our world is this love. So love should not just be something that like, well, we should come up with our own ideas about love. If we want to love the way we were meant to love, the way we were created to love, we need to look at God as the ultimate example of love. Does that kind of make sense? Because he is we're created in his image, like him in that way. And so one of the ways that we see like what love is supposed to look like for us is in Jesus, because Jesus comes down to earth, lives a human life. The Son comes down, lives a human life, takes on flesh, and then models for us like what it looks like to love the world and the people around him. And what we see when we look at God as the example of love, instead of anything from our culture, is that love often looks very different than kind of these idealized pictures and these things that we kind of celebrate and we look at and we go, oh, that's so cute. Like, that's love. It's so nice, right? Because love is difficult. Love forgives, and forgiveness is really hard. Right, like God, when like he made a covenant, like an agreement with humanity, and people broke that. And God decided, actually, I love them so much that I'm not gonna like just punish them for breaking this. I'm gonna make a way so that this can be restored and remended and made new again. Right, that God, yeah, exactly, that God forgives us. Like love forgives. Love cares more about the relationship than just being right, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether it's someone you've never met before. Love cares more about the person and the relationship than just being in the right. Love is compassionate, right? So we see Jesus over and over again is filled with compassion for people. Right? It was not just like begrudging obedience to the Father's will. He's like, well, I guess I have to come love these stupid sinners and go do all this stuff. Like he was actually filled with compassion for people and moved with compassion to love them and to serve them and to care about them. Love is focused on the other. Love is giving. We also see in Jesus, love is not afraid to speak hard truth. Right? The love we see in Jesus is not just like, oh, he's a super nice guy with long blonde flowing locks and is just like smiling all the time. Jesus, in loving people, oftentimes was willing to speak hard truth when it needed to be spoken. Love doesn't keep score or hold a grudge against people, but it's willing to forgive. And we also see love as self-sacrificial. This is from 1 John 3:16. This is how we know what love is, that Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. Right? That Jesus, in order to renew that relationship, to make things whole again, was willing to come, take on flesh, and die in our place so that we might be reconnected with God, that we would be forgiven, that we wouldn't have to pay the penalty of our sin, that we wouldn't have to deal with those consequences, but that we could be washed clean and made new. Now, I do want to say this real quick, just as a caveat. It gets really complicated that if you're in like an abusive relationship, oftentimes people will hear this like, oh, love is self-sacrificial, so I guess I have to just keep being abused in order to love. It's more nuanced and complicated than that. So if that's where you're at, please reach out to one of us. We'd love to help talk through and walk through like what love might look like in the situation that you're in right now. But like all those things are still true about the way Jesus modeled love. It just looks a little bit different than you might think in that situation. Now, I want to kind of highlight this, that Jesus defined love. We're talking about what's the difference? Like, what if we actually lived the way the Spirit is leading us to live? Well, Jesus defined love as what brings healing and restoration in a fractured, broken, and hurting world. Right? Because right now things are polarized, things are fractured, things are divided. And there's a lot of like justifying and being right and kind of, having the right opinions or the right thoughts. And there's not a lot of love in our world that says, yeah, you might be wrong, but I'm going to love you anyway. Like we're going to talk about this. I care about our relationship more than just being right or holding grudges or forgiveness or all these things. Now, the question kind of as we near the end here, again, just to remind us, is not, okay, what's our checklist? Okay, love forgives, love does this. Like, it's not just a big checklist that we're supposed to follow, but like, how do we actually cultivate this kind of love in our life? How do we live our lives in such a way so that we're not just checking boxes, but we're submitted and open to the work of the Holy Spirit to transform our hearts and to be a more loving people? Thinking of the gardening example, how do we tend the soil of our life? Not just making it happen, white knuckling through it, but what do we need to do in order to allow God's work to really take root in our life? and to actually transform us, right? Not just kind of fake love, trying hard, but to actually be transformed into a more loving people. Now, there is a choice aspect of love, right? Like, that love is a choice. Real, authentic, God-defined love chooses to love no matter what, right? You choose to love even if you're frustrated with someone. And there will be days that choosing to love someone is difficult, but ideally, this kind of love that Paul's talking about is more than just like a begrudging choice or obedient. Oh, fine, I'll love my enemies, whatever, God. Like, I'll do it. No, I'll do it. I'm not complaining. I'll do it. Like, it's not that kind of posture. Like, ideally, this real transformation is that we are actually, like Jesus was moved with compassion for people. That this is the kind of love that wells up inside of us. So how do we do this? And for me, as I kind of look over my life and as I've talked to other people, I think they're the best way, and I'm sure there's other ways too, to cultivate this kind of love in our life, to allow the Spirit to transform us, is through prayer. Okay? And for me, I'll just tell you what it looks like. I tried to simplify it a little bit. Just like it's usually a very messy process for me, but tried to look over at some themes. And the first thing is like awareness, right? It starts with being aware of the ways that I'm actually not loving someone the way that I want to be or feel like I should be, okay? Now, this is not just so we can, like Mac talked about last week, like the try harder cycle, right? Like where you just kind of, you feel really guilty, so then you try harder, and then it doesn't really work, so you kind of quit, and then you feel guilty again, this kind of whole thing. Not like that, not like where you just kind of wallow in your shame and be like, I'm such a terrible person, I didn't love this person very well. Actually, I was reading in Proverbs this week, I found this super interesting verse. It says, God corrects those he loves. Like God's conviction and his awareness of, hey, here's a way that you are not being loving right now, is actually a sign of God's love for us. Right, thinking of my daughter Gwen again. So she can, sometimes her feelings can get very big. She's like 3 years old. Whoever told me that like three-nager is a thing, definitely true. So her feelings can get really big, and then she can hit, or she can like kind of have an outburst or whatever. Now when I correct her, it's not just because like I don't want her to yell, although that might be part of it sometimes if I'm honest. It's also because I love her and care about her and don't want her to be like mastered by these really negative, strong emotions. Right? Like I love her and I want her to be able to like have some sort of like rationality when she's feeling these things and not like take it out on everyone around her. And in the same way, when God convicts us, when God brings awareness around something, it's not like a dog, like to rub your nose in it, right? It's because he loves us and he wants something better for us, right? Wants a more beautiful way of living. And we have to remember too that this conviction, when God convicts us or brings awareness around something, it comes from a place of security, right? Like God is not gonna walk out on you. He's not like, wow, you were a jerk to your wife today. Yeah, I'm out of here. Good luck, man. Good luck with that. Like it comes from a place of security. Like Romans says that it was while we were still sinners that Jesus died for us. It was like while he knew all the junk in our life, while he knew more about the junk in your life than you know about. Like think about that. There's more junk that you don't know about, that God knows about and still loves you anyway. Like it's from a place of security that God convicts us. So oftentimes for me, it starts with an awareness and it being honest with where I am. Like, oh my gosh, like I have been thinking really negative thoughts about this person I work with. Or, oh my God, I've been really short with my wife and my kids, or like someone who like maybe has hurt me in the past. Like I'm thinking about a lot of bitter, angry thoughts about them. So it's like this moment of awareness. And for me, in an ideal world, that's like the moment where then like I turn to God in prayer about it. And what I have found is super helpful is just to confess to God where you really are. Right, like forget all the like nice religious prayers that you've learned. Like just be completely bare and honest with God about where you are. So oftentimes for me, this will look like, yeah, I've been kind of a jerk, but I feel like they deserved it. Just want to throw that out there. Like they were rude to me first, like just being completely honest with God about where I am, letting it all come out. I'll often pray things like, God, I really want to love this person, but I also don't want to right now. Like I'm struggling with the desire to even love them. Sometimes it's like, God, I want to love them. No, that's not really true. I want to love them. Like I know I should love them, but I actually have no desire right now to do that. Right? Just being completely honest with God, laying it all out on the table, and then asking God for transformation. Right? Like what we're talking about is submitting our lives and our hearts to this transforming work of the Spirit. So actually believing that if we lay it all out there and submit ourselves to God, that he is going to start a transforming work in us. Right? Asking God, like, help me to even like want to love this person right now. Another prayer that for me has been really fruitful over the years is, God, help me to see this person the way you see them. Right? Like help me to see, and I don't get like whoa, I'm caught up in a vision and like see this thing that happened in their life, but it'll often help me to be like more compassionate and like, oh man, maybe they're like actually pivoting out of some pain or some fear or some insecurity. You know, they're not just being a jerk to me. That's like a byproduct of something else that's happening in their life. Right? And it's a lot easier to have compassion for someone when we kind of see them the way God sees. That's how God sees us, right? Is he doesn't just see us in our worst moments and be like, wow, are you serious? Like he sees the complexity that goes into those moments and those feelings and those struggles. So praying, God, help me to see them the way that you see them. I'll often, especially if it's something that I'm really struggling with, I'll be like, I don't know how this is ever going to go away. God, I need like a miracle. I need you to help me release this. And sometimes it happens like in a really short amount of time. And sometimes it happens over years of like praying and asking God to help me release this thing and help me to like transform my heart. So I'm not like, so every time that name comes up, I'm not thinking like angry and bitter thoughts about them. You know, that I actually can kind of be in a place of love and care. And this isn't the kind of stuff we can just muster up and pretend to be like, oh, I heard their name, like, oh yeah, how are they doing? Hope they're doing real well. You know, like that's like the fake love. The real authentic love is when the Holy Spirit has transformed our hearts and actually like created compassion in us for the people around us. And again, sometimes this happens ridiculously fast, like where I'm like, wow, God, that was like kind of a miracle. And sometimes it happens ridiculously slow. And I'm like, really, please, come on, I need some freedom here. Like this is really difficult. And then kind of the last thing, so there's like coming to an awareness, confessing where I really am, and then asking God for transformation, but then responding when the Holy Spirit prompts me to respond in some way. So sometimes that means actually going and like talking to a person who has hurt me or who I'm struggling to love. Or like, you know, sometimes for me, like if my wife and I are kind of like in a point where we're not really like getting along or kind of like talking past each other, it'll be like, hey, I'm having a really hard time right now. Like maybe I gotta, like last night I was like, hey, I had a really bad night of sleep last night, so I need just a little bit of grace here in this situation. So it's like, I felt like the Holy Spirit was prompting me to be like, hey, like extend a hand to help like, you know, bring things together. Sometimes it's like the Spirit has prompted me to go talk to someone who I've previously been like a fracture between, go talk to them and be like, hey, I feel like, you know, I want to like lay it all out on the table or ask for your forgiveness about something. Sometimes I don't feel like the Holy Spirit prompts me to go do anything like that. And it's all like internal work and internal reframing and reshifting and kind of transforming my perspective about the people around me. But want to be open to that the way the Holy Spirit might prompt us to respond and maybe even do like crazy things in the name of love. So these are the action steps. I would love, if you want to do something with this and not just like let it go in one ear and out the other, here's what I would encourage you to do. Identify who you are struggling to love right now. It might be a spouse, might be a kid, might be a friend, might be like a category of people like strangers who cut you off on the road, you know, maybe hatred wells up in your heart anytime that happens. Might be a coworker or a boss, might be people with different political beliefs. Like anytime you hear one of them talk, like just like get angry or frustrated or whatever it is. Might be your parents, might be people from a different country entirely, like just kind of like have bad feelings about people in the Middle East or, you know, like all sorts of things like that we're kind of walking around. So maybe it's a really specific person. Maybe it's this kind of big picture thing that you've been struggling with for a while. So who are you struggling to love right now? And then pray for them daily this week. Like, Ask God for awareness around the areas that you are falling short on love, that you recognize like, this is like an untransformed heart, and God, I wish you would transform it, right? Confessing to God, opening up, asking him for transformation, and then allowing him to like shape how you respond and what love might look like. And nothing might change today or tomorrow or this week, but what I have found in my life is submitting to the Holy Spirit's work of transformation. Like, there are people that I never thought I would be able to forgive or never thought I would have good feelings for, that God has transformed my heart, sometimes over months or years. So just committing to submitting to his work one step at a time is the work that we have to do to allow the Spirit to grow that fruit of love, this essential ingredient to following Jesus in our life.